Okay, so on the seller contribution addendum, if the seller is agreeing to give some sort of seller contribution to the buyer, then this form needs to be used. Okay. I'm connecting to the monitor here. Can you see that? Good. Okay. And it says specifically, parties use this seller content to contribute to buyers' closing costs that are not related to compensation of the broker, the buyer's broker. So that's all this is. It's a seller contribution addendum. Okay. Buyer sell financing, settlement, or lease of other. I got to sell my property. There's a whole nother form for it here. And it has the information on here for the buyer to fill out. The contract is contingent. I've got to sell my home. It's already contingent. It's contingent, but I'm waiting to receive the financing. The contract is contingent on settlement of buyer's property, the execution of a written release of lease agreement. So these are just reasons, and the buyer and seller agree on the sale of home clause is what this is. Did we just do that one? Yeah, same one. Now, in NVAR, we have the contingency and clauses form. Like I said again before, Maryland has their separate addenda. This is the kickout clause. So if the seller is agreeing to the contract is contingent upon the buyer entering into a written contract or settling the contract, the seller can also have this addendum, which kicks them out if they don't get the contract on their property. We call it a home of sale contingency with kickout in Virginia. This one may have home sale contingency, but no kickout. But if you do have the home sale contingency, you want to have the kickout addendum. Okay.
Wait, sorry, Anthony, you said the seller uses this to kick the buyer out of the contract if the buyer can't sell.
Right. And you would have it executed at the same time.
Their home. Right. Is that?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't get the rest of that. What would you say?
No, go ahead. I didn't say anything.
Okay. So the buyers says,
I didn't say anything. I'm listening.
Okay. So the buyer is saying the contract is contingent upon the buyer entering into a written contract. So I haven't sold it yet. It's contingent on me selling it. Or B, I am contingent upon the contract purchaser of receiving financing commitment. So I've got it, but I need my purchaser to get financed. Or I'm under contract, the financing is there for my buyer, I just need to settle my property. So they got three choices here. Okay. Or I own it, I'm keeping it, and I'm going to put a renter in it. So there are four options here that the buyer who needs to sell the property or rent a property can click, but there's no kick out on this one. Okay. So then, well, the seller can give notice to get it done. And that's in this agreement, but this is the kick out. I have X number of days. Fine. You got 20 days on this first one. I get another offer in 2 days. The seller has this in place. He can kick them out even though they've not reached the 20-day mark. So again, MVAR has made it a little bit more compact. It's all there in one paragraph. MAR has it in 2 addenda. Okay. Okay, and then we have the change in terms addendum. We've changed the price. We need to extend the settlement date or make it earlier. Any of the things that might change in the contract, this form is already made up to change terms in the contract. Purchase price, settlement date, written application, written financing commitment, seller contribution, other. If you're changing something in the contract that's already been agreed to.
Yeah, what I noticed with this form is that it takes the place in Virginia of just the blank sales addendum.
Yeah,
Because like I'm always looking for the blank sales addendum and I always forget that it's just this form and I just use that number 6 other.
good point. Yeah, I think Maryland is, it doesn't like us writing things up. They want, no, this is what we put together. Y'all just use this. So there's 5, 6 items here. And where we have the blank addendum, you could use this and use other. If you need to put something different than all of this. Other, seller will have all the property in the garage removed at closing. I mean, you would think that that's usually in the contract, but sometimes sellers think, oh, I'll leave the paint and I left you a lawnmower and I left you extra fencing. They may not want that, so you may have to. And I've seen it. After everything's ratified, the listing agent says, well, he's going to leave X, Y, and Z. Well, no. Well, yeah, that was the whole agreement we had. Okay, let's write it down. What are you leaving? What are you not leaving? Okay. All right. If you have an as-is property, this addendum is used to say what it is. Deletion of property condition. Well, the parties agree to delete the following. If it's like, well, what as is do you mean? What is as is? We have that also. Again, we have it all in one form. Well, you can leave the property free and clear of trash. You got a cash buyer that's buying it to flip it. You should put this in there. Okay. The seller wants to buy a property before they go so this is almost like the sale of home contingency. This is a seller's home of choice. We call the HOC clause. And so this one is, I'll ratify with you, but I got to go buy something. Okay. And maybe they're contingent upon the seller entering into a contract, or maybe the seller's already in a contract, but I got to get a written financing commitment. So I've bought, but I don't want to be kicked out of my house just because I don't have a lender letter finalized. Okay. Same type of thing for the seller, just on that one. Third party approval addendum. Not for use in short sale, but the buyer is responsible for delivering written notice. Okay. This may be mom and dad are giving me this huge gift. So they want to come in and take a look at it. So they got to get a third party approval. And it's not that I got approval. It's only that I got disapproval. Okay. But you have a certain amount of time, get it done by this date. If you don't get it done, there's nothing there. By that date, we just move along. I wanted to show, well, this is one more. If it's a 1031 exchange, a 1031 tax deferred exchange is when a investor is buying or selling property to replace, or it's called the relinquished property and the replacement property. If an investor is selling a property, they're relinquishing that property. And if they're buying another property, they're replacing the relinquished property. You need this addendum to go with it. Okay. And also, this is more of a, I don't know if it's more of, but it's something that the seller, an investor, would need to use if they had to go to the IRS and say, well, yeah, I relinquished this property. See, it's in the contract. All right. Are there any things that have come up that you guys would like to talk about as far as Maryland contracts that have come up? You've got things that have happened. Because we've got about 15 minutes.
Is there something in the contract, and I couldn't find it, in regards to HOA docs being current? Because I have an agent who sent me HOA docs that I swear that they are the original HOA docs that the seller received when they bought it years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
Because this seller has been notorious for cutting corners.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out a way to get her to order new docs, updated docs.
No, yeah. I'm looking.
I mean, the first red flag was the fact that she said she had the documents on a flash drive and she was going to mail them to me.
Yeah. Yeah, how does she have that? I know that Virginia law allows you to ask for a updated copy if they're older than 30 days and younger than a year. I know it's a weird time element, but you can ask for an update, but it doesn't give you any more days.
Right.
Let me share the screen with you real quick.
I mean, you could also call the HOA and ask them,
Yeah,
can they review these documents and are they current?
right.
And you have 7 days in Maryland for HOA and condo docs? Anthony?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that one.
Oh, okay.
I want to say 5. And I'm wondering if it's actually in the contract.
It is in the
Homeowner Association notice. Let's look for that one.
you go to condominium form. And and it should be a paragraph at the bottom.
Yeah. Of this one?
I think so. No, maybe not this one.
All right, so
Yeah, here the
Association Act not to notice buyer. So this is a notice to them?
down in the next page.
Yeah, yeah. Just
5 days.
the name of the form is. It's the Maryland homeowner for resale of a lot within a development of any size or for initial sale. Okay. So what I look for is days. So this sale is subject to the requirements. The act requires the seller disclose to you at or before the time contract is entered into within 20 calendar days of entering into the contract, certain information concerning the development. Got it. The name, address, and phone number. Got it. Knowledge of existence of any pending copy of.
Yeah, see, it doesn't give a time frame.
Yeah. If you've not
And it
received,
doesn't say they have to be,
no,
new and updated.
right.
But don't, because some HOAs require though that they have, because in order for the property to be resold, they have to inspect the property.
Right.
So, I mean, that would kind of just come vicariously, so.
Mhm.
If I would call the HOA and ask them, have they
Yeah.
done the inspection yet?
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, you're right. You're going to run into sellers that are just, cheap. They don't want to pay the money to get them redone. Or they've been on the market a long time. I'm going to have to look at the code because even in our contract, it says you can ask for an updated copy. That's all it says. But you can't get an up. Yeah, yeah, they do. But does it have to be renewed? No, is what I'm seeing here. But it's up to the buyer to go out and ask for that. There's something down here about all these days. I want to read through this. If you have not received information 5 calendar days or more before entering into the contract, you have to cancel the contract after receiving it. Okay. You must cancel the contract, right, but you do not have a state reason. The seller must also provide you with a notice of any changes in mandatory fees exceeding 10% of the amount. So if it's $200 and they go to 215, they don't have to let you know that, but it goes to 225, you do. And then if you are noticed of that, you got 3 calendar days to cancel it because of the changes in the mandatory fees. So that's all it says. I'm going to look deeper in the code on that, Ashley, because that's a good question. I was looking that up on Virginia about renewed, and yeah, they're saying that. Great. I get the phone number. It does say you have to give the accurate phone number, address, all that from the HOA. And so I would just at least call them and say, this is what I have. This is what it says. Do you have anything newer?
When I was taking my continuing education this year at NVAR, they said that you have to provide the condo docs, but they don't have to be like new.
Yeah. But you can
But-
ask for you can ask for an update.
Yes,
And then
and
what we got from David Robertson was like, yeah, you can ask for an update, but it doesn't give you any extension. So it's really kind of a buyer beware kind of a thing, unfortunately. But the fees, I think they definitely have to let you know that. Okay. I don't know if that
Okay.
answered your question completely. But I'll look that up in the code and see what that says about old forms. All right. Anything else on Maryland? Then okay. All right, we're gonna break for 12 o'clock. We got a lunch and learn here. And then 1 o'clock we'll come back and I'll go through the Carr form, starting with Maryland. And we'll go from there. Hey, Rashawn, real quick, did I get your question? Did I get your answer on whether you're coming to the planning day next Wednesday?
But which planning day was that? I'm sorry, Anthony.
It's the getting, it's just a company planning day, looking at let me pull that thing up here again real quick.
Business development.
The business development planning, here it is. Can you?
Oh, business. Okay, yeah. This is next Wednesday, correct?
Next Wednesday, 9 to 4.
Yep, that should be fine.
Okay, Rashawn says yes, okay. Hamlet, are you on the phone? I guess they left their camera on. Okay, all right, well, good. All right, folks, if you want to know the Maryland stuff on Carr, which is Montgomery County, and if I can get to it, the DC forms, come on back at 1 o'clock, and we'll go from there. Okay. All right.
Thank
All right, bye, y'all.